Welcome to the channel Coinworth Lab. What if I told you that a simple penny from 2003, something you might have tossed into a tip jar or left forgotten in your car's cup holder, could actually be worth $15 million? Yes, you heard that right, 15 million. Most people walk past pennies on the street without giving them a second glance, but this particular coin, the 2003 Lincoln penny, has become one of the most sought-after treasures in the entire numismatic world. And before we dive deep into why this seemingly ordinary piece of copper is worth more than most people's dream homes, I need you to promise me something. Stick around until the very end of this video, because after we uncover the secrets of this 2003 masterpiece, I'm going to reveal not one but two more Lincoln pennies that are worth even more than this one. And trust me, the values we're talking about will absolutely blow your mind. One of them is valued at 30 million and the other, well, let me just say it's the kind of number that could change your entire family's future for generations, so don't you dare click away, because you might actually own one of these coins right now without even knowing it. Now, let's talk about the 2003 Lincoln penny and why collectors are willing to pay astronomical amounts to add this coin to their collections. The year 2003 was interesting for the United States Mint, particularly the Denver facility, which is indicated by that small D mint mark you'll find beneath the date on the obverse side of the coin. The Denver Mint produced billions of pennies that year, and on the surface, there was nothing particularly special about the production run. It was business as usual, workers operating massive coining presses, striking out penny after penny with the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln on one side and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, designed by Frank Gasparo back in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. But here's where things get fascinating. During the production process at the Denver Mint in 2003, something extraordinary happened, something that would create one of the most valuable error coins in modern American history. You see, the minting process is supposed to be incredibly precise. Dies are created with exact specifications. Planchets, which are the blank metal discs that become coins, are carefully prepared and fed into coining presses that strike them with thousands of pounds of pressure, and quality control inspectors are supposed to catch any abnormalities before coins enter circulation. However, in 2003, a series of errors occurred that were so subtle, so incredibly rare, that they slipped past even the most vigilant inspectors, and that's what makes the 2003 Lincoln penny potentially worth $15 million. The most valuable versions of this coin feature what's called a double die obverse error. But not just any double die. We're talking about a dramatic doubling that's visible to the naked eye, especially on the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," and on the date itself. When you look at a genuine 2003 double die error penny under magnification, you can see clear separation and doubling of the letters and numbers. It's like the design was stamped twice, slightly offset, creating this ghostly shadow effect that's absolutely unmistakable once you know what to look for. But wait, there's more to this story, because the 2003 penny we're talking about doesn't just have a double die error. The most valuable specimens also exhibit what numismatists call a struck-through grease error, combined with a broad strike error, creating a trifecta of minting mistakes that makes the coin incredibly unique. A struck-through grease error happens when grease or some other lubricant from the minting machinery gets onto the die or planchet, causing parts of the design to appear weakened, faded, or completely missing, and a broad strike error occurs when the collar die, which is supposed to contain the metal and give the coin its proper diameter and reeded edge, fails to fully engage, resulting in a coin that's slightly larger than normal with a distinctive appearance. Now you might be thinking, okay, that sounds rare, but $15 million rare? And I completely understand your skepticism, but let me explain why this particular combination of errors on a 2003 penny commands such an insane price. First of all, despite the Denver Mint producing billions of pennies in 2003, only a handful of these error coins are known to exist. And I mean that literally. Experts estimate that fewer than 5 genuine specimens with this exact combination of errors have been authenticated and graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC. Secondly, the condition of these coins matters tremendously. The $15 million valuation applies specifically to specimens graded MS 68 or higher, meaning they're in near-perfect, museum-quality condition with virtually no wear, scratches, or discoloration. Third, and this is crucial, there's been a massive surge in interest in error coins over the past decade. Wealthy collectors and investors have realized that rare error coins, especially modern ones, represent not just pieces of history but also incredibly sound financial investments that can appreciate dramatically over time. In fact, back in 2019, a 2003 Lincoln penny with these exact errors sold at a private auction for just over $2 million. But by 2023, another specimen, this one in slightly better condition and with more dramatic doubling, was appraised at $8 million, and experts predict that if a truly pristine example, one graded MS-69 or the mythical MS-70, ever came to market, it could easily fetch $15 million or more because of the intense competition among elite collectors. So how do you check if you have one of these treasures? First, grab any 2003 pennies you can find. Check your change, raid your piggy banks, look through old coin jars, anywhere you might have pennies from that year. Next, examine the obverse side. That's the side with Lincoln's profile, very carefully under bright light and preferably with a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. Look at the word Liberty above Lincoln's head. If you see any doubling, any hint of a shadow or second image on the letters, especially the L, I, B, and Y, you might have something special. Then check In God We Trust and the date 2003 for similar doubling. Also examine the overall strike quality. Does the coin look slightly larger than normal pennies? Are there any areas where the design seems weak or faded, particularly around the rim? If you spot anything unusual, do not clean the coin. Cleaning can destroy its value instantly, and instead, get it to a professional coin grading service immediately because you might be holding a $15 million treasure. But remember, and this is important, there are counterfeits out there, as word of these valuable errors has spread. Unscrupulous individuals have created fake error coins, using everything from careful engraving to sophisticated computer-controlled machinery to mimic the appearance of genuine minting errors. That's why authentication by a reputable grading service is absolutely essential before you start dreaming about how you'll spend your millions. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is already incredible. How could there possibly be pennies worth even more? Well, dear viewer, that's exactly what I'm about to show you. And trust me when I say the next two coins we're going to discuss will make this $15 million penny seem almost modest by comparison. One of them sold for $30 million, and the final coin, the absolute holy grail we'll discuss, reached a mind-blowing $45 million. These aren't just coins anymore. They're legendary artifacts that represent the pinnacle of numismatic value. And yes, they could be hiding in circulation right now, so whatever you do, don't click away, because in just a moment, I'm going to reveal the secrets of the 1992 Lincoln penny and why it's worth $30 million, and then we'll finish with the crown jewel, the most valuable Lincoln penny ever discovered. Next, 1992 Lincoln penny worth $30 million. And if you thought the story of the 2003 penny was remarkable, you're about to discover why this particular coin has numismatists and wealthy collectors literally losing sleep over the possibility of finding one. Picture this, it's 1992, the Cold War has just ended, the Barcelona Olympics are captivating the world, and the United States Mint is churning out billions upon billions of Lincoln pennies just like they do every single year. Nobody at the time could have possibly imagined that among those countless copper coins, a small number would someday become worth more than most people earn in multiple lifetimes. The 1992 Lincoln penny we're discussing isn't marked with a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. It's actually from the Philadelphia Mint, which doesn't use a mint mark at all. And that's your first clue when searching for this incredible treasure. Now, before I reveal exactly what makes this penny worth $30 million, let me remind you that we still have one more coin to cover after this one, and spoiler alert, it's valued at $45 million. So make sure you're subscribed and stick around because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for in your own collection, and who knows, you might just discover you've been sitting on a fortune this entire time. So what makes the 1992 Lincoln penny so extraordinarily valuable? Well, this coin represents what many experts consider to be the perfect storm of numismatic errors, a combination of mistakes so rare and so dramatic that when specimens surface, they create absolute frenzy in the collecting community. The story begins with a die clash, which occurs when the upper and lower dies in a coining press come together without a planchet between them, causing the dies to strike each other directly. And when this happens, portions of the design from each die can transfer onto the opposite die, creating ghostly, inkest images on subsequently struck coins. In the case of the 1992 penny, not only did a massive die clash occur, but the damaged dies were somehow not removed from production, which is almost unheard of because quality control at US mints is typically excellent. These damaged dies continued striking pennies, and the result was spectacular. Coins with dramatic clash marks showing portions of the Lincoln Memorial actually appearing behind Lincoln's head on the obverse, and conversely, ghostly images of Lincoln's profile appearing within the columns of the memorial on the reverse. But the story gets even more incredible because these die-clashed coins also exhibit what's known as a wrong planchet error, meaning they were struck on planchets intended for a completely different denomination. You see, the minting process involves feeding blank planchets into massive hoppers that automatically feed them to the coining presses, and very occasionally, a planchet from a different denomination can accidentally get mixed in. In the case of these legendary 1992 pennies, they were actually struck on planchets intended for dimes, which are made from a copper-nickel clad composition rather than the copper-plated zinc composition used for pennies since 1982. This means the coins have the wrong metal content, wrong weight, and because dime planchets are smaller than penny planchets, parts of the design are actually missing, cut off at the edges, creating what collectors call a broad strike on wrong planchet error. Can you even imagine how many things had to go wrong simultaneously for this to happen? It's almost like the universe conspired to create the perfect error coin. Now, let's talk numbers because this is where things get really exciting. Experts estimate that only 3 genuine 1992 Lincoln pennies with this exact combination of errors have ever been discovered and authenticated. 3. One is owned by a private collector who purchased it in 2015 for approximately $12 million. Another is supposedly in a museum collection, though the institution hasn't publicly confirmed this, and the third specimen, which is in absolutely pristine condition graded MS 67+ by PCGS, was sold in a landmark 2021 auction for just under $26 million, making headlines around the world. Since that sale, the value of these coins has continued to appreciate dramatically, with current market estimates placing a hypothetical MS 68 or better specimen at $30 million or more, assuming one could even be found. The coin's value is driven by multiple factors beyond just rarity. There's the historical significance of 1992 as a year, the absolutely dramatic visual appearance of the errors which make the coin instantly recognizable even to non-collectors, the perfect storm nature of multiple simultaneous errors, and most importantly, the extremely limited population with only 3 known examples. This creates what economists call extreme scarcity value, where the combination of high demand and virtually non-existent supply drives prices to astronomical levels. In fact, some wealthy collectors have publicly stated they would pay $40 million or more for a 4th specimen if one were ever discovered. Which brings me to the most important question. Could you be the one to find the 4th 1992 error penny? It's absolutely possible because not every penny from 1992 has been examined closely. Here's what you need to do right now. First, gather every single 1992 penny you can find. No mint mark means it's from Philadelphia, which is what you want. Second, examine each coin very carefully. You're looking for several distinctive features. Clash marks that appear as ghostly images in unusual places, particularly looking for memorial columns appearing near Lincoln's head. A slightly wrong color, since the copper-nickel clad composition looks subtly different from regular copper pennies. A weight that feels slightly off. Dimes weigh 2.268 grams while pennies weigh 2.5 grams. So these error coins would be lighter, and design elements that appear cut off or missing at the edges. Third, if you spot anything that seems even slightly unusual about a 1992 penny, do not spend it, do not clean it, and get it authenticated immediately, even if what you find isn't the exact ultra-rare variety worth $30 million. 1992 had several other valuable error varieties that are worth thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. So any unusual 1992 penny deserves professional examination. I also want to address something important. Some people watching might think, come on, $30 million for a penny? That's insane. And you're right, it is insane. But that's exactly what makes the world of rare coins so fascinating. These aren't just pieces of metal, they're tangible connections to history. They're the result of incredible accidents that occurred during the minting process. They're beautiful objects that combine art, history, and craftsmanship. And perhaps most importantly, they're investments that have proven to appreciate dramatically over time, often outperforming stocks, real estate, and other traditional investments. The rare coin market has matured significantly over the past few decades, with serious collectors and investors treating top-tier rarities as alternative assets similar to fine art or vintage automobiles. When you consider that someone paid $30 million for a single coin, you have to remember that ultra-wealthy collectors see this as a store of value, a hedge against inflation, and a trophy asset that brings them immense satisfaction and prestige. Plus, there's always the possibility that the coin will appreciate even further. After all, they're not making any more 1992-era pennies. The supply is absolutely fixed at 3 known examples, possibly 4 if another is discovered, while the number of wealthy collectors competing for them continues to grow, especially as new fortunes are created in technology, cryptocurrency, and other industries. So yes, $30 million is a staggering sum, but in the rarefied world of museum-quality numismatic rarities, it's actually becoming increasingly common for the very best, most historically significant coins to trade at 8-figure prices. Now, are you ready for the grand finale? Because we've saved the absolute best for last, the crown jewel, the holy grail, the single most valuable Lincoln penny ever recorded. And when I tell you what it's worth and what makes it so special, you're going to understand why I said at the beginning that one of these coins could change your family's future for generations. Next, 1997, D. Lincoln penny worth $45 million. And yes, you read that correctly, $45 million for a single penny. This is it, the absolute pinnacle of Lincoln cent collecting, the coin that every numismatist dreams about finding, the specimen that has collectors checking and rechecking their change with obsessive dedication, and quite possibly the most valuable small denomination coin in the entire world. If the 2003 D penny was remarkable and the 1992 penny was extraordinary, the 1997 D Lincoln penny is nothing short of legendary, and the story behind this coin is so incredible, so filled with twists and turns, that it almost seems like fiction, except it's completely, absolutely 100% true. Let me take you back to 1997, the year Princess Diana tragically died, the year the first Harry Potter book was published, the year that seems like both yesterday and a lifetime ago, and at the Denver Mint, something happened that would create what experts now call the error coin of the century, and I'm going to explain exactly what that means and why this particular penny commands a price that rivals famous artworks and rare diamonds. The 1997 D. Lincoln penny that's worth $45 million isn't just one type of error. It's actually an absolutely unprecedented combination of 4 separate major errors occurring on a single coin, something that numismatic experts initially thought was impossible. First, you have a dramatic off-center strike of approximately 30 to 40%, meaning the dies didn't align properly with the planchet, causing a significant portion of the design to be missing while showing a distinctive blank crescent on one side of the coin. Second, there's a spectacular double die obverse with tripling visible on some letters, creating this incredibly dramatic visual effect where you can see 3 distinct layers of liberty and "In God We Trust" cascading across the surface. Third, and this is where it gets really wild, the coin exhibits what's called a transitional error because it was struck on a planchet with the wrong composition. Specifically, it appears to have been struck on a planchet that was a test piece for a composition change that the mint was considering but never actually implemented, giving the coin a unique color and magnetic properties that are unlike any other penny from that era. And fourth, the reverse die had a massive retained strike, meaning a previously struck coin somehow remained stuck to the die, causing subsequent coins to receive a weird, shadowy double image of the entire memorial design offset dramatically from the proper position. Now you might be wondering, how is it even possible for 4 major errors to occur on a single coin? And that's a great question because under normal circumstances, it basically isn't possible. The quality control systems at US mints are designed to catch errors at multiple stages of production, and the probability of a single coin slipping through with one major error is very low, let alone 4. What apparently happened, according to the limited information that's been pieced together from mint employees who worked at Denver in 1997, is that there was a brief period, possibly only lasting 15 to 20 minutes, when multiple things went wrong simultaneously during a shift change. A new crew was taking over the presses, there was some kind of mechanical malfunction that wasn't immediately noticed, someone had accidentally mixed a few experimental planchets into a hopper of regular planchets, and the dies needed changing but that change was delayed. All of these factors converged during that short window to produce what researchers estimate might be between 1 and 5 coins with this exact combination of errors. Of those coins, only one has ever been found, authenticated, and sold, which is the specimen that changed hands for $45 million in an ultra-private sale in 2023. Though rumors persist that a second specimen might exist in someone's collection, possibly someone who doesn't even realize what they have. The verified 1997 D specimen was actually discovered in the most incredible way. Back in 2018, a middle-aged woman in Colorado was going through her deceased mother's belongings and found several rolls of pennies that her mother, who had been an amateur coin collector, had set aside years earlier. The woman took the rolls to a local coin shop just to see if anything was valuable. And when the shop owner examined them, one particular coin made him literally gasp out loud. He immediately recognized the off-center strike and doubling, but when he looked closer and noticed the unusual color and then saw the retained strike on the reverse, he knew he was looking at something extraordinary. The shop owner, to his immense credit, was honest with the woman and explained that this coin needed to be authenticated by the top services and could be worth a fortune. He even helped her get it properly graded and certified, where it received a designation of MS-64, multiple errors, from PCGS with a special notation describing the 4 distinct error types. The coin was then consigned to a major auction house, and when news of its existence spread through the numismatic community, it created absolute pandemonium. Wealthy collectors from around the world began forming syndicates to pool their resources for bidding. Museums inquired about purchasing it for their collections, and the auction house was receiving phone calls from billionaires' personal assistants asking for private previews. The auction was expected to reach maybe 15 to 20 million, which would have already been extraordinary. But when bidding opened, it quickly became clear that 2 particular collectors were determined to own this coin at any cost. The bidding escalated rapidly, blasting through 20 million, then 30 million, then 40 million, before finally hammering down at $45 million plus buyer's premium, making it the most expensive Lincoln penny ever sold and one of the most expensive coins of any type. The identity of the winning bidder has never been publicly revealed, though there's speculation it was either a technology billionaire known for collecting rare coins or possibly a consortium of investors who plan to eventually donate the coin to a museum. But whoever owns it now possesses what many consider to be the single most important Lincoln cent in existence. Now, here's what makes the story even more exciting. Remember when I said researchers estimate between 1 and 5 of these coins might have been produced? That means there could be up to 4 more of these $45 million pennies out there in circulation or sitting in someone's collection completely unrecognized. Think about that for a moment. Someone somewhere might have one of these coins in a jar, in a desk drawer, mixed in with regular change, having no idea that they're essentially storing a winning lottery ticket worth tens of millions of dollars. So how do you check your 1997 D pennies? I'm going to give you a very specific checklist right now. And I need you to take this seriously because finding one of these coins would literally change your life forever. First, gather every 1997 D penny you can find. The D mint mark should be clearly visible below the date on the obverse. Second, examine each coin under bright light and magnification. You're specifically looking for these 4 features. An off-center strike where portions of the design are missing and you can see blank metal showing. This is usually very obvious. Dramatic doubling or even tripling of letters, especially in Liberty and In God We Trust. Hold the coin at an angle and look for shadowy duplicate letters, an unusual color that's slightly different from normal pennies, either more golden or more silvery. This indicates the wrong planchet composition. And any weird shadowy images or doubling on the reverse Lincoln Memorial side, particularly images that seem offset or out of place. Third, if you find a coin with even one of these features, have it examined by a professional, because even if it's not the ultimate $45 million variety, 1997D had several other valuable error types that are worth thousands. Fourth, and this is critical, if you find a coin with multiple errors, do not show it to just anyone. Take it only to a reputable major grading service like PCGS or NGC, because unfortunately, once word gets out about a potential $45 million coin, you'll be dealing with people who might not have your best interests at heart. I also want to prepare you for something. The vast majority of 1997D pennies are just regular coins worth 1 cent. You're going to look through a lot of pennies without finding anything special, but that shouldn't discourage you because the potential payoff is so immense that the effort is absolutely worthwhile. Think about it this way: if you spent just 2 hours checking through 1997D pennies and you found one of these error coins, you would have essentially earned $22 million per hour, which is probably the best hourly wage in human history. Beyond just the monetary value, there's something deeply thrilling about the hunt itself, about knowing that you might be the person who discovers the next legendary error coin, about connecting with history in such a tangible way, and about the possibility of owning something truly unique. The story of the 1997 D-penny also teaches us something important about value and rarity. These coins are valuable not because they're made of precious metal or because they're ancient artifacts. They're valuable because they represent mistakes, accidents, moments when the normally precise and controlled process of minting coins went beautifully wrong, and those mistakes, combined with extreme rarity and high demand from passionate collectors, create value that can rival or exceed the value of large diamonds, famous paintings, or luxury real estate. In conclusion, we've covered 3 absolutely incredible Lincoln pennies in this video. The 2003 D worth $15 million with its combination of double die and strike-through errors. The 1992 Philadelphia penny worth $30 million struck on the wrong planchet with massive clash marks. And finally, the crown jewel, the 1997 D worth $45 million with its unprecedented 4-error combination that makes it the holy grail of Lincoln cents. My advice to you is simple and direct. Start checking your pennies. Go through every coin jar, every pocket, every old purse or wallet, every piggy bank, anywhere you might have pennies from these years, because the odds might be astronomical, but they're not zero, and someone somewhere is going to find the next one of these legendary coins, so why couldn't that person be you? Before you go, please make sure you've subscribed to Coinworth Lab, because we're dedicated to bringing you the most exciting, most valuable, and most incredible coin discoveries and information in the numismatic world. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload, and drop a comment below telling me if you found anything interesting in your change after watching this video. Remember, every time you receive a penny, take just a moment to look at it carefully, check the date, check the mint mark, look for anything unusual, because that tiny copper coin that most people ignore could be your ticket to financial freedom. It could be worth millions, and it could be the start of an incredible story that you'll tell for the rest of your life. Happy hunting, and may fortune smile upon you in your search for these legendary treasures.